Hello, my name is Max. This is the first spin-off video from my series titled The Truth About Asperger Syndrome. Part 4 is coming, but today I will be responding to comments on the previous videos in my series. I had originally wanted to give personal responses to everybody's questions. However, I never imagined that I would receive as many comments as I did, and in such a short time. The popularity of these videos is utterly unprecedented, and I want to thank you for all of your kind words. Unfortunately, it would be almost impossible for me to respond to all of your comments individually, so what I decided to do instead was a separate video where I respond to a few criticisms. These are not all of the criticisms I've been left, but I chose the ones that share similar themes with the ones I left out. If any of you feel that I have ignored certain criticisms or that I haven't responded adequately to the ones I included, please let me know by commenting below so I can address them in part 2. With all of that out of the way, let's get started. Cranit Star says, sounds like a lot of people are using Asperger's as an excuse for being a bitch. Well, anybody can use any condition as an excuse for being a bitch. If somebody with AS does that, then of course they should cease their bad behavior and do their best to integrate into greater society despite their condition. However, those who do not have AS should realize that sometimes, despite our best efforts, we may fail. All we're asking you to do is not be, to use your own terminology, a bitch if we don't immediately meet the neurotypical standard. Blue Core says, I like how the comment section has become a cesspool of people trying to one-up each other with their various mental illnesses like it is some sort of contest or something. Well, Blue Core, I looked through all of my comments, and what I see are a lot of people leaving their life stories as a way of validating my original claims. I didn't see anybody trying to one-up each other, as you say. Just because people are leaving stories from their lives, it doesn't mean they are seeking oppression points, as if we are all engaging in some sort of oppression Olympics. By the way, it's not various mental illnesses, and it's not even mental illness. It's Asperger syndrome, which is not a mental illness, it's a neurological anomaly. Uncontainable Pickle says, I'm getting married to someone with Asperger's and she has zero trouble looking me into the eye. Just like everything else in life, it's something that takes time. The minute you start generalizing yourself and labeling yourself and assuming you can't do something is the minute you lose control. You are capable of everything. Don't let some condition or disability hold you back. Okay, well first, that's lovely to hear that she doesn't have that issue, and of course that you're getting married. Having said that, there's a couple of things you need to keep in mind. First of all, just because somebody has AS, that doesn't mean they can't look people in the eye. Inability to make eye contact is a symptom. It's not something that is unanimous among everybody who has AS. If you have diabetes and you don't get blurred vision, which is a symptom, does that mean you don't have diabetes? No. Much like autism itself, our ability to transcend the symptoms we do have exists on a spectrum. Also, some people who have AS might not be able to look people in the eye, but that symptom doesn't arise because of their AS, but because they simultaneously have mental illness like general anxiety disorder, which isn't uncommon. Therefore, the person with AS will have a much better chance of being able to transcend the symptom. However, there are also people like me, where I have done everything to overcome my symptoms, i.e. taking drama classes for 4 years, but still can't do it completely. And then there are some people who can't be helped whatsoever, unfortunately. It's all on a spectrum. Finally, your fiance being able to look at you in the eye is pretty common among people who have AS. I know, because it's sort of the same case for me. The only person I have ever been able to look at in the eyes for a long time is with my ex-girlfriend. It's because in that specific case, you know that the person you are speaking to has completely accepted your AS-specific tics and are much less likely to judge you. Just because that's an exception, it doesn't disprove the general rule. Mig Killer Phantom says, if you're a Spurg, why even go into an empathy-based, people-oriented profession? Just do STEM like everybody else. You'll have nobody else to blame when you're done studying and can't find a job because you are utterly unsuited for it. But sure, go on listening to the Just Be Yourself crowd. Okay, well, it's because maybe the person with AS doesn't have the intellectual or emotional capacity to succeed in a STEM field. Maybe their temperament doesn't allow them to participate in a STEM field without losing their cool. I know that if I did many jobs involved with STEM, I would probably live a very miserable life. Plus, when it comes to finding work, the easiest jobs to attain, especially when you're young and don't have very many skills, are the ones that involve being people-oriented, i.e. retail. People with AS need to get work experience experience, and because it's difficult enough to find any form of employment, let alone maintain it, we'll take whatever we can get. Also, another common symptom of AS is hyperfocus on areas of interest. If we're not interested in STEM, getting us to study STEM-related fields can range from being difficult to outright impossible. I'll do a video on that symptom sometime in the future, so stay tuned. Buck Ovens writes, eye contact problems can be born out of low self-esteem, and this is usually the main reason for it, not Asperger's or whatever. People get put down too much in life, or don't win enough, or isolate too much and forget how to do basic contact. Later on, it can haunt them for a long time. Okay, well, yes, you're right. But just because eye contact problems can be born out of low self-esteem, and that can be a common reason, that doesn't negate AS being an explanation for it either. In the former case, that can be overcome. In the latter case, it's either very difficult to be overcome or, in a significant number of cases, impossible. Arctic Taco, that's a great name, he writes, I don't know if anyone will see this comment, but people with Asperger's, do you have trouble looking at the eyes of drawings or non-living things? For example, something on a screen. Well, the answer is no. There has to be a living being giving their entire attention to you. Granted, there may be a sizable minority of people with AS who just can't look people in the eye, period, because they view people on a screen as if they are present in the room with them, but to my understanding there aren't very many. I could be wrong, please correct me if I am. Little Rain Games writes, all this is fixable, I hope you guys know that. For me, I had to go to extreme measures, dropped out of school, left home and lived on the street, did nothing but hang out with groups of people day after day. It's a behavioral issue. You can reteach your brain to allow you to be normal, or even be the popular one in the crowd. Just keep pushing. Once again, AS symptoms exist on a spectrum. Addressing these symptoms have various results. For example, one common piece of advice given to people who have AS is to take drama classes to improve social skills. As I just mentioned, I took drama classes for 4 years, and doing so really helped me. However, I still can't look people in the eye. I still tend to say inappropriate things without realizing it during social situations. Does that mean I didn't try hard enough? At what point do we just say, okay, I've done everything that is within my power to do? Unless there's something else I haven't tried, it's now on other people to be just a little bit more understanding. Not even accommodating, but a lot of the time just a little understanding will do. Okay, Agdigdigwingo writes, I don't know. I'm pretty certain I have Asperger's, although I just wonder if it would be worth getting a diagnosis. You know, how much can I actually be helped, etc. Probably since I have a job I don't need help. I can tell you that it has been very helpful for me. Getting a diagnosis can help you in school, it can help you maintain your job, it can help you find work that is more accommodating and ideal for people with AS. You can access medical resources. Those are just a few examples off the top of my head. Now, having said that, you can have AS and maybe you don't need any help. More power to you. It's still not a bad idea to get a diagnosis just in case, though. Arif Selik writes, how about your parents? Can you stand looking into their eyes? No, I can't. It's a little easier because they're my family, and that implies less judgment, at least for me, but I still can't do it for more than a few seconds. Gothic Thought 21 writes, I fear eye contact. Does that mean I have Asperger's? No. The answer is a flat no. Problems with eye contact is just one symptom, but you don't have to have AS to have that problem. Considering how few people on the planet have AS, problems with eye contact are much more likely to be on account of poor self-esteem or, to a lesser extent, some form of mental illness. That being said, it doesn't hurt to take the autism spectrum quotient or some other online test to get a novelty assessment, and then maybe that will encourage you to get an official diagnosis. Jason Godwin says, maybe you should forget you have Asperger's. Seems like you're letting it become your identity. If so, then you will not be able to overcome the majority of symptoms because you may unconsciously feel that if you no longer have symptoms of Asperger's, then you will lose your identity. Similar thing happened to me as a child. After psychiatric diagnosis, I became the thing I was diagnosed with and obeyed its rules. When I got older and rejected the diagnosis, I got much better. Okay, just because I do videos about Asperger's syndrome, that does not mean it's my entire identity. My identity is defined by what I do. not by what I was born with. I do several things. I make videos, I go to school, I play several musical instruments, I speak French, I go out of my way to educate myself on difficult topics for fun. Asperger's is only a part of my identity because it limits my ability to define myself by my actions. It doesn't totally compromise my abilities. All I wish for is a world where people can hear me say I have AS, and then they'd be a little bit more understanding as I go about trying to improve myself and the world around them. Plus, I'm not obeying its rules. Saying I'm obeying its rules is like saying a paraplegic obeys the rules their legs set out for them. The paraplegic shouldn't obey their legs, but they work hard with the hand of cards that is dealt to them. You know what I mean? God of Thieves writes, "Can you look yourself in the eyes in the mirror?" Yes, I can, and I'm pretty sure most other people with AS can as well. Tyler X2F01 writes, "I thought Asperger's got dropped as a name. It is now just classified as lying somewhere on the autism spectrum." Well, Tyler is actually correct. Asperger's is now just classified as high-functioning autism under the DSM-5. However, I continue to say Asperger syndrome not because I wish to contradict science, but because I personally find it pragmatic. When you say, I have high-functioning autism, people aren't as familiar with that as they are with Asperger syndrome. And when you say Asperger syndrome, it's much easier for people to get a picture in their minds regarding what is going on in your brain. For example, when I once said I have high-functioning autism, the person responding to me said, "So is that like having Asperger's but you have an easier time of it?" One day I might start to say high-functioning autism instead once the population has a heightened awareness of the issue, but at the moment my autistic distaste of the unfamiliar is just preventing me from saying it. Brent Wilbur says, "There's no such thing as Asperger syndrome." Okay, that's why it was removed from the DSM-5. Whatever your issue is, it's not autism. Okay, he says my issue isn't autism because AS was removed from the DSM-5. Okay, suddenly autism doesn't exist now? Listen, Brent, AS was removed from the DSM-5 because medical professionals wanted autism to be viewed as an inclusive spectrum without any specific diagnosis. The merits of doing that have yet to be seen. I only call it Asperger syndrome for the sake of pragmatism, like I said. Autism still exists, despite AS itself being removed as a diagnosis. Zodiac Shotgun writes, "It can be cured." No, it can't. Pick writes, "Asperger's is a choice." Okay, what do you mean it's a choice? Is it a choice to have it, or is it a choice to let it affect your life? If it's the former, you're factually wrong. If it's the latter, then you're partially right. Asperger's can either define you entirely, which it shouldn't, or you can work in conjunction with the syndrome and continue to aim for your ideal life. Kaiser Frost writes, "All people are different shaped pegs being forced into round holes. Autists are just too distracted and selfish to make the effort to fit in, and that is fine. What is not fine is that they think their form of awkwardness is special and excusable. They shouldn't expect others to accommodate them. We all struggle deeply to fit in and function. No one is special." Okay, listen, dog. I've made every possible effort to be socially acceptable in my lifetime. I've attempted every possible recommendation for coping with autism, and despite some success, it still holds me back in some respects. Please don't tell me I'm distracted or selfish, because when you say that to people like me, who have made all the requisite sacrifices to improve despite our condition, to meet the neurotypical standard that has been set, you're part of the problem. Just like John McClane said, you're either part of the solution or part of the problem. Quit being a part of the problem. Now, regarding expectations of accommodation, it's true that we shouldn't expect it right now, because people like you exist. So, we have to hold up our end of the social bargain and do the best we can to integrate. However, like I said before, in lots of cases, we can only improve so much. Now, we are just asking for people to learn a little bit about it, so when we mess up and say we have AS, people can just chill. Echo Bluff writes, "I can't help but think Asperger's and autism are excuses for acting like a child for one's entire life." Yeah, that's what it is, yeah. It's not like the necessity for financial independence isn't weighing down on my conscience every day. It's not like the feeling of being a burden on your family and friends isn't something we are desperate to overcome. No, we're all just selfish children using autism as an excuse to not advance ourselves. No, some do and some don't. Just because some do doesn't mean you are permitted to treat people like me as somebody who does. Triggered Feminist writes, oh, this will be good. "Absolutely pointless video. You're really going to tell people that you can improve and shouldn't improve? improve? I have it, well, had it. I've improved so much to the point where I'd say I don't know if I have it anymore. Okay, I guess I didn't make it clear enough in the original video. Let me state it for the third time. You can improve. Everybody with AS can and should improve. That being said, for a lot of us, our efforts can only take us so far. As for you having had it, maybe your form of Asperger's was so mild that your efforts allowed you to overcome it. Or maybe you had a mental illness with symptoms that aligned with AS, but it wasn't AS. Just because you had success doesn't mean you can extrapolate your personal experience to everybody with the syndrome. Senor Zoros writes, please be a bit careful concerning the term Aspie. While some people use it to cope, others may see it as insulting and infantilizing. At least I know I do. It also enforces the you are your disability narrative. I'd recommend person with Asperger instead. Yeah, I got a lot of complaints regarding my use of the term Aspie, and I can understand why, particularly for the reasons Senor Zoros listed. For those reasons, I won't use it again in the future. And finally, I left the most challenging, intelligent comment for last. Coral Franco writes, ha ha ha, Jesus fuck whiny snowflakes. I put this comment up there with the 50 other people who left some variation of the comment, lol, Asperger's. Who names their syndrome Asperger's? One thing these comments show me though is that a lot of trolls actually have some form of a moral compass. They can't make fun of me because then they're the jerks who make fun of people with autism, so they make fun of the name instead. But then it leaves me wondering, if you're in a bind when it comes to your ability to troll, why not just stop trolling for half a second and just help me make the world a better place for people with autism? Anyways, that's all the comments I selected for today. I have 3 new videos in the works at the moment, all of which are being worked on simultaneously, and one of them is the next part in the main series. Make sure to leave your comments down below if you think I could have done better in replying to my commenters, or if you have any extra questions you'd like addressed in the future. Until next time, just remember, you deserve to be happy.